UIC. Freedom and people of need. Hell yeah. Freedom and people of need. Yeah, yeah. Freedom and people of want. Freedom and people of need. Yeah, yeah. Freedom and people of want. Freedom and people of need. Yeah, yeah. Freedom and people of want. Freedom and people of need. Yeah, yeah. Real man a road. Now bow wolf in a tree grand a road. Now bow down to no demon a road. UIC when you see man a road, me say yeah. Real man a road. Now bow wolf in a tree grand a road. Now bow down to no demon a road. UIC when you see man a road. Ready for broke every chain. The when you free up the people, levitate. Jamaica member, you ever great. I feel burn up the fire upon every snake.
Hello and good evening. Welcome to another edition of UIC Liberty TV. My name is Joseph Patterson and I'm the president of UIC Jamaica. Today we're going to be talking with one of our members, one of our supporters, who wants to speak her mind and share with us her thoughts about the things happening in her community. She's coming to us from the parish of St. Thomas. We're going to be speaking with a lovely lady by the name of Miss Shirley Douglas. We also might have on later on in the program Keith Romans. You might have met him before on one of our live broadcasts. But tonight we're going to be speaking with Miss Shirley Douglas. But I want to set up this discussion for us by showing you a little bit of St. Thomas, first of all. And then after looking at St. Thomas briefly, just a little, clip from St. Thomas, what it looks like today. I want to also share with you a little bit about Singapore, because Singapore stands out to me because of the proximity of our history. Singapore got independence in 1965. Jamaica got independence in 1962 from the colonial powers of England in particular. So today I want to juxtapose St. Thomas and Singapore, and I want you to listen to Miss Douglas in the context of how those two countries has evolved over a very, very similar period of time. Let me pause now to just acknowledge a few of you who are on live so far. Douglas Harper, who's always with us. Welcome, Mr. Harper. Mr. Lion Rule, who's always with us. Thank you for being on, Lion Rule. Calvin Anthony, Sylvester Lawrence, Patricia Brooks, JMH, Avi. Good to see you on as well. Avi, good evening. Good evening to all uniters across the world. Here in Jamaica, I'm coming to you live from St. Elizabeth, and I know some of you are from all 14 parishes and from overseas as economic exiles, you might be. Good evening, Baba Blue. Good evening, Liddy. Good evening, Derek Johnson. Good evening, Mark Meeks. Good to see you on. Christine Kamar, welcome to another UIC Liberty TV show where we're talking about today, or talking with one of our supporters who is quite outspoken, a very bright young lady who is very, very interested in the development of her community and her country. And so she wants to share with us today, and we're happy to have her on. Good evening, Richard Brown. Good to see you. Yes. Yes, let's work together to build the organization. So yeah, I just want now, I'm going to break now, and I want to show you a little bit of St. Thomas, just in case you're not sure what it looks like. Let's take a quick look at St. Thomas, and just to see what it looks like, and then we're going to actually skip backwards after that and take a look at Singapore, compare the two, and then we're going to talk with Miss Douglas about what she hopes for, what she expects, what her experiences are, why she's a part of the UIC, and we're going to learn from all three of these what you call it now, episodes, if you will. So let's kick this off by having a look at St. Thomas, a brief look at St. Thomas. We're going to take a little look at that and see what St. Thomas looks like today and what we can learn from it. So let's have a look. Hopefully, it seems a bit like it's a quiet video, but look at the streets, look at the vehicle passing. Can you hear anything?
That's what's happening.
So let's do this again.
Alright guys, so we are in Morant Bay, St. Thomas. That's where we are. They're still doing some work on this road. They're reinforcing this roadway because the ocean is taking over. So that's what's happening. So we have GPS realigning the light posts on this roadway. They're widening, and they're also putting a major concrete barricade or barrier to break the ocean and to reinforce the land. So they have been working here for a while. Alright, so that's how we're starting out this video. So we'll be driving through the town of Morant Bay. That's what we're doing today. We are in St. Thomas. So I wanted to show you guys around Morant Bay. I know not everyone gets to visit this side often. So here goes. So enjoy the drive. Leave a comment. And for who don't know, I'm Rush, the Discover Boss. And here. So again, we'll go out to the gas station and then we'll take the old road through. Make a 180 and then we'll go back through the town of Morant Bay. I'm not sure many of you guys is from this side, but if you came from St. Thomas, if you came from Morant Bay, if you're living this side right now, just let us know in the comment section so we can drive through the town. Department of Correctional Service on the right, beauty store, clothes store, restaurant, restaurant again, guest house, loans, First Heritage Credit Union, church. So a lot of different businesses throughout the town. The road needs some work though. The road is very bad. We have a Texaco gas station squeeze right here. We have a tasty restaurant. Parish library on the left. Lucky Dollar Furniture on the right. And Jamaica National. So we're now passing Debtors Lane. And then something is constructing right here on the left. We'll take this right turn to end up where the video started. Page Rush for more reviews JA. Watching. Thank you.
my sincere apologies. So, as I was saying, St. Thomas is roughly the same size as Singapore. Jamaica started out much better than Singapore. More resources, less infighting and less problems, far more homogeneous. Everybody roughly speaks the same language in Jamaica. Singapore has language barrier and all kind of stuff, all kind of problems Singapore had when they got independence in 1965. Now, let's take a look. Let's take a look at Singapore. I hope you can hear me now. Let me know if you can hear me now. We're going to take a look at Singapore now. I'm going to compare that with what we just saw a while ago in terms of St. Thomas. So let's get ready. We're now going to look at Singapore. Let me just quickly do a check-in with Miss Douglas. Good, she's there. Wonderful. We'll soon come to you, Miss Douglas. So now we're going to take a look at Singapore, and bearing in mind what you just saw of St. Thomas, Jamaica, St. Thomas, and now look what you're going to see with Singapore. Okay, so let's take a look at that. Now let's take a look at Singapore. Hope you can see that very clearly. It should be on your screen momentarily. And now we're going to look at the country of Singapore. Let's go.
Hey guys, what's up? In this video we're going to talk about Singapore. Singapore is a city-state and island country in Southeast Asia of southern Malaysia. It was founded as a British trading colony in 1819, and since independence in 1965, it has become one of the world's most prosperous and tax-friendly countries. Singapore enjoys a tropical rainforest climate with no distinctive seasons. No wonder it lies just 1 degree north of the equator. The country is known for its transition from a developing to a developed one in a single generation under the leadership of its founding father, Lee Kuan Yew. Today Singapore is one of Asian tigers, along with Hong Kong, South Korea, and Taiwan. The city-state is home to 5.6 million residents. There are 4 official languages: English, Malay, Mandarin Chinese, and Tamil. Most Singaporeans are bilingual, and English serves as the nation's lingua franca. Singapore Changi Airport was opened in 1981 and is now rated as the world's best airport by Skytrax for the 6th consecutive year since 2013, and is one of the world's busiest airports by international passenger and cargo traffic. More than 58.7 million passengers have landed in Changi Airport in 2016. It's so huge and modern that it even has movie theaters in Terminals 2 and 3. And it's all for free. Can you believe that? Now let's take a look at different parts of Singapore. Orchard Road is Singapore's most famous shopping district. It's a 2.2 kilometer long major road with lots of shopping malls. This bustling boulevard is now a retail and dining paradise, with over 5,000 establishments offering the ultimate lifestyle experience to tourists and locals alike. But it's not all that pricey. You can find lots of inexpensive dining options. Marina Bay, the newest feature of Singapore. Marina Bay Sands is an integrated resort fronting Marina Bay, owned by the Las Vegas Sands Corporation. At its opening in 2010, it was billed as the world's most expensive standalone casino property at 8 billion Singaporean dollars, including the land cost. Complex is topped by a 340-meter long sky park with a capacity of 3,900 people and a 150-meter long infinity swimming pool set on top of the world's largest public platform. Rooms at this hotel start at $400 a night. Nearby, the newly opened Gardens by the Bay is a futuristic park which consists of 3 water park gardens, including giant artificial trees that glow in the nighttime. The towering 50-meter tall trees within the super tree grove are brilliantly illuminated with a kaleidoscope of colors, making for a memorable experience. The Garden Rhapsody light show is wonderful and totally free, and it takes place twice during the night, at 7:45 and at 8:45 p.m. Just take a look at this. Don't forget to take a ride in the world's second highest observation wheel, the Singapore Flyer. At 165 meters, it missed the first place by just 2 meters. Esplanade Theatres on the Bay, Singapore's equivalent of Sydney's famous Opera House, except that the two-lobed spiky Singaporean version deliberately bears a striking resemblance to the durian, a tropical fruit notorious for its sharp odor. Opera, dance, classical concerts, and similar entertainment is offered daily. You can find live music concerts, light shows, and so much more.
She could still be alive, open for sale.
Before it was known as Sentosa, this island just off Singapore's southern coast was a British military fortress. When the Japanese occupation in the Second World War was over, Singapore returned to the British rule and the island was renamed Sentosa, which translates to peace and tranquility. Today Sentosa is the closest that Singapore gets to Disneyland, with a casino, Universal Studios Adventure Park, and cable cars. Among Singaporeans, the main popular reason to go to Sentosa is to hit the beaches, Siloso, Palawan, and Tanjong, from west to east respectively. Unfortunately, the water here is rather murky, due to the never-ending parade of ships across the straits. The main business district is the Marina Bay Financial Center. It's a mixed-use development located along Marina Boulevard and Central Boulevard at Marina Bay. Skyscrapers in Singapore cannot be higher than 280 meters. There are presently 3 buildings of that height. Despite the fact that Singapore is often referred to as a concrete jungle, the truth is, there is an abundance of greenery in almost every area of the city. Almost half of the territory of Singapore is covered by vegetation and parks. The most famous of which is the Singapore Botanic Gardens. It's a 158-year-old tropical garden located at the fringe of Singapore's Orchard Road shopping district. It's one of the 3 gardens and the only tropical garden to be honored as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. The National Orchid Garden is at the forefront of orchid studies and a pioneer in the cultivation of hybrids, complementing the nation's status as a major exporter of cut orchids. The lush ponds of Palm Valley in the garden are a popular spot for picnics and outdoor concerts. Jogging and cycling route, where you can actually run into monkeys. How cool is that? Singapore is incredibly clean. Even chewing gum is banned in Singapore and can only be bought from a pharmacy for medical use. Some public elevators come equipped with urine detection devices that set off an alarm and close the doors until the police arrive. Spitting isn't allowed either. Do it in any public place in Singapore and you'll be slapped with a fine of up to $1,000. Same goes for littering. When it comes to nightlife, Clarke Quay is a favorite among locals and tourists. It's one of the best locations in the city, set around a picturesque body of water in the shadow of the towered Central Business District skyline in the background. Row upon row of bars and restaurants line the beautiful boulevards, offering great alfresco dining. Clarke Quay is undoubtedly the reigning king of nightlife destinations. This riverside festival village combines dining, drinking, and clubbing for the ultimate night experience. Despite its small size, Singapore has a surprisingly large number of golf courses, but most of the best ones are run by private clubs and are open to members and their guests only. The main exception is the Sentosa Golf Club. Housing in Singapore is outrageously expensive, but there's a trick. Public housing in Singapore is managed by the Housing and Development Board under temporary leaseholds for 99 years only.
See? What? Oh, sorry. Oh my god.
Oh my god.
82% of the resident population live in such government-subsidized houses. Only Singapore nationals and permanent residents can avail of the subsidized housing. There's no slums and no ghettos, no bad areas in Singapore. All the residential buildings I came across looked modern and very decent. Price per square meter in the city center is a staggering $16.5 thousand. Public transportation is excellent. Traveling from one part of Singapore to another is a breeze thanks to a highly penetrative public transportation system. Buses are by far the most common form of transportation, followed by the MRT, Mass Rapid Transit, and taxis. Public buses serve almost every part of Singapore, making it the most extensive form of public transportation, while the MRT provides speed and efficiency, especially during peak hours. The subway stations are clean and usually equipped with free toilets and have platform screen doors between the train and the platform. Car rental is not an option you want to look for in Singapore. It's pretty expensive. You're looking at $100 a day for the cheapest car, and I only rented a car just to get some road footage, but otherwise I wouldn't do that.
Okay, so renting a car in Singapore, you will have to know this one thing. You will need to have a cash card, they call it. So this card.
Roads in Singapore are in excellent condition, and driving habits are generally good, with most people following the traffic rules. Cars are outrageously expensive to own. The government is trying to do everything to discourage people from buying cars. A Volkswagen Golf might cost you over $100,000. That's because besides the retail price, you'll have to pay registration fee, certificate of entitlement, and so much more. But there is no shortage of luxury and exotic cars, even though the fastest you can drive here is only 90 kilometers an hour on expressways. Crime is basically non-existent, and crime rates in Singapore are some of the lowest in the world. Singapore is an extremely safe city, but it has very strict drug laws, and drug trafficking carries a mandatory death penalty. Yes, capital punishment is still a legal penalty in Singapore. Each execution in Singapore is carried out by a long drop hanging in Changi prison at dawn on Friday. If that wasn't enough, caning is actually still a legal form of punishment in Singapore. If you're caught vandalizing the tropical paradise, molesting women and doing all sorts of bad stuff you shouldn't be doing, you won't be able to sit properly for a few weeks. In 2007, The number of caning sentences ordered by the courts was 6,400, of which 95% were actually implemented. Homosexual acts are illegal in Singapore. Singapore is officially the country with the smartest high school kids in the world. They collectively topped the global math and science education ranking by the Organization of Economic Cooperation and Development. Singapore is a melting pot of cuisines, incorporating a rich heritage of food dishes consisting of Chinese, Indian, Malaysian, and Indonesian influences. You can try these dishes in the hawker centers and in the food courts of shopping centers. Most Asian cultures are rice or noodle focused, but in Singapore, they're both. Whether eaten straight, blended into juice, or used as a topping in a shaved ice dessert, a wealth of tropical fruit is an important part of the Singaporean diet. There is, of course, the famously stinky durian, which Singaporeans cannot get enough of. In Chinatown, you can visit the famous Hong Kong soya sauce chicken rice and noodle. It's a street food stall owned and run by Chan Hon Man. In 2016, it became one of the first 2 street food locations in the world to be awarded a star in the Michelin Guide. The merlion, a half fish, half lion beast, is a fitting symbol of Singapore. Let's face it, Singapore has come a long way. Today, the city ranks highly in numerous international rankings and has been recognized as the most technology-ready nation, world's smartest city, world's safest country, 3rd largest foreign exchange market, and 3rd largest financial center, and the 2nd busiest container port. It's hard to believe that in 1964 they had racial riots here and people lived in poverty. Today, Singapore has the 3rd highest GDP per capita, and the passport of Singapore is 2nd in the world after Japan for visa-free travel granted by most countries to its citizens. Tell me in the comments what you like most about Singapore. Thanks.
Okay, there you have it. Singapore, obviously a very, very smart country. Singapore managed to use one generation, that's 25 years approximately, one generation, to go from being a poverty-stricken, dirty, corrupt, crime-ridden, racially hostile country into a united, clean, organized, disciplined, well-run, anti-corrupt, highly productive country. I believe we can do the same. And so I want us to start the discussion off with my good friend, new member, supporter of the UIC, by pointing out that what Singapore did in 25 years, from 1965 to 1990, we could have done from 1962 to 1988. But we failed to do it, and now we have a second chance to do it now. But the only way we're going to be able to do it is if we turn our backs on the system and on the 2 colonial parties that have held us back for the last 78 years. That's the only way we're going to be able to do it. We must turn our backs on the system and those who have preserved that system for 78 years to create a new and better Jamaica. So let me welcome now to our studios, Miss Shirley Douglas. How are you doing today, Miss Douglas?
I am good.
Great. Good to have you on. Now that where the daylight is kind of gone, I can't see you as clearly anymore.
Let me go turn on the lights.
Turn on the light, yes.
Okay.
So while she's going to turn on the light, I just want to point out, that I'm very confident that we in Jamaica can do much better than what Singapore has done. We can do just as well, and we can do much better. But we're going to have to really decide to do better. And so, Ms. Douglas, what were
Yes,
your
sir.
thoughts What were your thoughts when you watched those two videos, the video of St. Thomas and the video of Singapore?
Singapore, awesome. St. Thomas, boring.
Absolutely. Hey, can you believe it's the same space? St. Thomas is the same size as Singapore.
That
And
is what I'm
Singapore,
learning.
yeah, and Singapore has so many people. It has 5.6 million. All of Jamaica only has 3 million people. And Singapore, the size of St. Thomas, has nearly 6 million people. And it was able to create this wonderful country. But before we go into that, Miss Douglas, tell me about yourself. Who is Shirley Douglas?
Okay, Shirley Douglas is this. Are you hearing me?
Yes, I can.
My school. Oh Lord, I'm sorry. My school is near the road. I am the sixth child of 11 children. My mother is a Jamaican and my dad is a Cuban. We grew up humble. I was a brilliant child. My mom died when I was 13, and so my schooling closed off at 13. But because I think I was smart and I had a very supportive dad, I would go to the library and I would read and I would read and I would read, and he would encourage me. And when I get my birthday, I usually get a book. So it's very early I realized the value of reading. And when I went to school, I could read above my level. So I was always busy helping my teacher, doing this, doing that, helping children to read. I was always busy. And we went to the country at St. Andrew. We were living at Cassava Place at that time. We went to St. Andrew, went to King Western Primary. We had a good teacher, Miss G, preaching teacher too. But something about the lady, you know, they learn, and I'm competitive. So she always challenges me, and I rise to the challenge. But at the death of my mom, things went afoul. Now we went to Kingston. It was kind of rough on my dad because it was him alone. So I am not a soft girl. I'm not a girl, a little soft girl. If a cow is coming, you're going to scream and run. But say the cow is coming, I'm going to pick up a stone, I'm going to run behind a tree, and I'm going to hit the cow in his head. I'm tough. And sometime in 1960 something, I got pregnant, which I was embarrassed because the churches I went to, they believed that we should get married before we have children. Anyway, I went to St. Thomas. I had a boy, and I was there. Nothing was happening. The parish just dead and sleepy. So I tried to join the force, and when I was called, I just had that boy. Oh my God, I bawled from town straight back to St. Thomas. I go, I was there, nothing doing, nothing, but I always read. I got caught up into the community this, community that, and on. And then a police officer said to me, while I was in York, one of the supporters of the JLP, I support PNP at that time, he said something to me that was derogatory. So I went to the station and asked them if I could have a club there. And they said, why don't you revive the police club? Get in the police club. And I worked all areas from PRO to treasurer, secretary, blah, blah. I became the president. I am a very strict person. I get up on my dad. We are at the police station to have meetings. We are here to have fun with the police officers. So any one of you I find out going around, you have to leave the club. And they thought I was a dragon. But I was still hanging there. And I went, they asked me to serve at a police bar in Morant Bay. The man who was in charge of the bar told me to say, if they ask for blackberry brandy, say no, none is here, but blackberry brandy was under the counter. So this big fish from town came and they took him to me and said, could you give Mr. some commission or something? A blackberry brandy. I said, there's no blackberry brandy here, sir. But in a minute, I was serving a taxi driver. And the police officer was so angry because it made me thought I should leave the taxi driver and come and serve this commissioner man. No, this is a taxi driver, but he's a man. The commissioner is a man, he has to wait. And he was off here and he left. He brought the man to the bar. And the man said, but I told her to say that there's no brandy. Well, of course, the man served him. Sir, I grew up to believe that everybody is equal. You respect people. Men are men. Whether him dirty or him clean or him sweet is a man, and you treat him like a man. If by treating him like a man it doesn't work, you shun him and move on, but you don't put people down. Anyway, I was there in the club, and a group of persons came to Jamaica, and we give them the grand tour of St. Thomas, whatever tour that was. When they went back, they sent for the president. And Mr. Patterson, would you believe they selected 3 persons already before me, you know. That time, them don't know that. We packed my suitcase already, you know, Mr. Patterson. And my water boat, you know. We pack, you know, but we don't tell nobody. And I was there, and the last person they selected, the lady was pregnant and she couldn't go. 2 weeks, Mr. Patterson, before the trip, this miserable policeman came to my gate. Douglas, then I can't go hunting there, you know, because she agreed. Are you that, you know? Mr. Sir, 2 weeks before, we will get money to go. Well, if you can't go, send Moses. I said, okay, sir. Mr. Patterson, as in gone, you know. Make it ready and bolt on Melmac Avenue. Dr. Lewis was my dentist. I said, sir, may I go to England next week, Thursday. Week after next Thursday. I'm going to want $2,000. $2,000 at that time, so like 200,000. And he said to me, you know, you're a mad girl. Go and sit inside at lunchtime, I'll talk with you. At lunchtime, he said, Shirley, what's a while ago? I said, sir, I'm explaining. He said, Shirley, we have no money, you know. But we were it was Barclay Banks in Morant at the time. He said, we write one letter. And we said, write the letter, give me. I went to the bank, Mr. Patterson. I said, may I speak to the manager, please? I'm telling you. He said, sit outside and wait, I just want to talk to you. Mr. Patterson, 3 o'clock in the evening, the man said, Jesus Christ, you're still here. Hear me. But I thought you said I should wait. He said, come. And give me the manager's stick. Pick up the thing, went to London for 6 weeks. It wasn't really nice. I don't like London. London is cold and ugly. But the experience was good. But I got a shell shock once when I was riding the bus. I was living at 40 Jessington Avenue, and we had to go to Central London every morning for the training. Sir, I saw a bus. When I lived in Jamaica, you know, we had to fight to go in a bus. So when I look up through the cemetery, I take a shortcut and I see the bus. I ran through the cemetery and went outside and I saw a line and I rushed the line. And a little white lady said, Jesus! And she backed away. Sir, I went into the cemetery and I sat on a tomb and I cried with shame. And I cried for a little, maybe 5 minutes or so. We drive my tears and peek out. And I saw 36 coming. And I noticed there's a line. So I said, all right, if there's a line, I'm going to join the line too. Join the line. I saw somebody came behind me and joined the line. And so we went into the bus in the line. So I said, okay. Then I'm going to jump on my line. So 50. Sir, when I come back to Jamaica, I'm going on the line. One man said, ladies, where the XYZ and Z, you know, going on the bus. Something going in my head. Okay, this is Jamaica now, not London. So it was a shell shock for me, but I would never forget the experience. Anyway, came back, and the club, a policeman said to me, then Shirley, I saw you have to do voluntary work. I've been volunteering since I was maybe 6. What I was doing at 6, giving children warm milk at school. Follow the teacher and give them warm milk. I remember one day I went to this child and I gave her the milk. And she locked her eye in her mouth and pulled away that and I opened my eye and said, drink it. And she drink it, gobble, gobble, gobble. And something inside of my stomach went warm. I don't know if the birth of the community affair, but since then, I was in the community. And so he said to me, I saw you have a volunteer all your life. When you're all away, I go do. But Mr. Don't give me no money. Mr. Don't give me tell about money. I said, apply. Once apply, you must start and done. And sir, I applied. Jesus have mercy, Mr. Patterson. When I got the call, I did not have a penny. But I felt very good though. Anthony Hilton was the MP at that time. I went to him, I got the money and I went in. The rest was history. It was hard, Mr. Patterson. Because the primary school education, you know, it was hard. I couldn't pass the maths because the base was not there. Oh Lord, sorry. I had to go to Michael in the evenings and go to the college in the days. And I needed to, I'm not going to make it because it is going to be hard. And I said to myself, you're going to tell me I'm not going to make it and you don't know who I am. Keep doing the talk. And so one night I went to my bed and I saw a ladder coming out of the big tree of my cup. And I reached up and I touched it. And I do a little jump and I catch it. And from that I don't pay nothing until I graduate. And that is a couple of years well. I am retired since 26. And I keep, where I live now, I live in this space for 45 years. So what's, how I try to get the community center to do some positive stuff. How they fight me. How they fight, The last man told me he was going to chop me up. He knew some pretty words. I said, no, it is true. Let me leave it alone. And so 4 weeks after that, he got a massive stroke. He died. Another man come now, and he's still over the key. So I kind of leave him alone. But when I was at school, I had a boys program for 13 years. Those boys are doing so well. I went to the ministry. It was that lawyer man, PNP lawyer man, and I shared it, vision with him. He said that there's one there, and he doesn't need the one that we have. So maybe leave him and hear about his. But anyway, we came and hung him with ours. So I want to transfer the program into the community with a little higher because bigger boys now. And they won't let me in the community. And what I will show you this morning, I went to the man and I told the man. And the man, the next day when I go, the man put on padlock on the gate was up. That's and we lock it. I don't speak to him since. And they all them, as you see on the video, is where the boys are breaking to go inside. And I can't understand. They don't want me to use the center, but they don't want to use the center. So I don't understand what is happening. They was passive. And there's a boy there who is about 18 or 19 now. I know he hasn't gone. I've never seen him, but I know he hasn't gone. I used to talk to that boy when he was 12 years, going to high school and coach him. And I know if the club was there at the time when we wanted it, that boy wouldn't start using gun. And every time the police come in here, he hide. All my backyard, he jump the fence and hide. I don't say anything to him because where I live, I'm not from St. Thomas. I've lived there 45 years. And I just feel if I say certain things, might come back and bounce on me because the people cannot be trusted. So I leave well alone and do what I have to do. But when I hear about the party, I don't know how you could be in the country for 2011 and I don't hear I'm so nosy. But when they arrest you, 2011, I know the man who arrest you, the man who do the excitement, stupid man. Let me say 2011. And then I was to watch the videos with you. And then I realized that this thing kind of different. And I heard that song like a nene, but I don't understand that. But when you spoke about the land thing, I was saying to this man, the man was talking about land. He covers every single area in the country per se. And the part about the video that I'm excited about is the tourism part, where the entire place will be cleaned up for us. And then the tourists can come and share with us. I like that. And the part that you pointed out with the teachers and the children. It was then after you spoke, I realized that Jesus is true. The children are damaged at the basic school. They're damaged to the system. And when they graduate, like not even graduate, they're the ones that found the problem for us. No. So I'm saying the crime that we're talking about in the country, it has to start from the home. Because we get a chance to talk to our children. I tell a story. I was in a tenant yard at Armaclane off Abbott Road. And a man in text in the yard told me, you should gang up on cutting board. I said, Patterson, I was so excited. Lord Jesus. When Dad said, Dad, take some soon can go to cutting board. Hear me, Dad. What? When he emphasized words like that, I'm in trouble. And my heart started to beat. That is like 5 feet 11 inches tall and maybe 200 pounds. So a lot of persons are afraid of it. And then when I told him, he went up to the tenant and he went up to the cortex twice. He said, come here. What do you tell my daughter? And he said, I was joking. And Dad gave him the riot act. He left the yard 2 weeks after. Mr. Patterson, my father called and explained to me what that meant. I said, Jesus. So I am saying to myself, if I was close to my dad, Tex would have gotten to do what he think you should have done to me at that age. So people need to bond with their children from a very early age, share everything, guide them. And I think with the balance of the teacher, the wider community, we should make it and know that we'll never get 100% country. Even 10% up there, the police have to deal with those. But 90% is good. And so when I look at that video, I look at the amount of years we waste. I'm going to careful no China for Jamaica. These guys that were there, they didn't understand what politics was. And when I heard you say you studied for 15 years, I said, no man, this man's serious. and what country you visited, I think you're ready, you have a plan. And sir, I am sorry, I'm so old, I'm 68. I'm sorry, I'm so old. I would have run for one of the seat up here. But nevertheless, I'll do the best I can, and I'm going to learn to use the phone properly. I was telling Miss P last night, I cannot use it well. I'm going to learn to use it, do the best I can. And I've been selling the story because I was telling somebody about the jump program last night. And he was like, he's not going to vote if he don't get any money. I said, listen to me, man, it's a young party, but a young movement, they must get money from beginning. What is wrong with you? They burned down the ark in the market last night, or the night before, so he lost everything. So I said, I don't have any money to give you. You have to start save, and when you save X, Y, Z, and Z, and I won't work back on it. But I am planning right now to go and see if I can find those 12 entrepreneurs for the club. And I'm going to join the club as well. I do have a business at hand, but I'm still going to join the club. I hope that, so I want to get in the center. That is my problem. I don't know if the people can get in the center. The Chamber of Commerce, they said they would adopt the center and maintain it, and that is music to my ears. So I don't know if you and them can come together and do something. But the center as it is, just a little rundown. It was built by a PNP lady named Miss Olive Stewart, who lives in Canada. No, she's very sick. There's an issue with her. I'm hearing this because I was in college. There's an issue with a community person and the lady. The bell post was too low. So they lift the bell post and the zinc that was on, took it away and carried it to another location. So the government came in to PNP and they carried out the bell post, finish it, and was handed over to the government. So there was a man there who was in football. Mr. Patterson gave him the key, I was told, and challenged him to keep the place together. He now lives in the state and gave the key to his son. So the legacy. So the son died and the son have the key now. So sir, we can't do that. We can't fight no more. We don't want somebody up to come because I'm the president of this the SDC in the community. And the officer told me we can't perform because we don't have 4 CBU, which is not true. That was a political. And then she's gone. I don't know where she is. So right now, we want to go in there to do what we have to do. But we're outside because the man of the key and ban of the gate. So I don't know where we're going from there. So
right. So basically, that's the case with almost all the community centers. They're not being managed as a part of the.
When you talk about when you spoke of how to be managed, I have goosebumps because those are things I dream of. Sir, did you know that I have some writings at my house where I actually changed the police force, or I would like it, and I changed it from force to service? And when I hear that you say service, we say, Jesus, this gentleman, mine and mine is almost on the same thing. The force need to go and the service, but there's so much more to talk about. But right now, I want the center to bring in boys, high school boys. So our boys do not know the difference between sex and love. That is a major concern right now for me because they don't understand. And the girls need to know that you didn't get your body to sell it. You get your body to take care of yourself and find alternative ways of making a living. You find something you like, they move on, blah, blah, blah. But this kind of nasty stuff. The officer that we have in office now, he's here for 25 years now. And we cannot go into Mr. Patterson to make that shop over there. We can't do that. When the election is near, we come with rum and boom and $2,000. One came to the gate there, they Santa Claus, tell me that they're cooking food down the center. I get away from my gate, you stupid man. Did I tell you I was hungry? That kind of nastiness. Really get them Patterson. First, she's not going anywhere.
I am surprised that more people don't think like you, Miss Douglas, because we've been doing the same thing for 78 years and we're getting the same result. It's not changing, and it's time for us to change. Can you push?
Sure, we have to change.
Yes, pull your camera a little forward for me so you can be centered in the frame. Right now, I can only see. Yes, there you go. Beautiful.
Oh,
so
I am charging, so I don't want to squeeze the base where the charge is on. Okay. Yeah.
I see where you are.
I am stressed. I am stressed as an older person. There's so many things we could do for the. Did you know that my grandson, I had to send him home? A man down the road give him ganja to smoke, And the boy came and started to my house.
Really?
I said, what is wrong with the boy? And I give him 2 big slaps and he stand up as if I didn't slap him. I said, is that a cop? I call him down. I said, come for him. He said, Mama, when do? I tell him, comfy. And he came for him Thursday, and by Saturday and calling, Grandma, can I come back? Please, Grandma, take me back. He said, until you tell me why I should take you back. Well, he never tell me anything. I went to look for him last week. So I'm saying the people are just cruel, they're cold, they're unkind. It's all about me. I'm teaching civics now. The book is 61 years old. It has two kind of citizens, the bad, the passive, and the active. And I was saying to the children, let me see your hands up those who want to be bad, active or passive. Of course, everybody going to go active. But the fact remains that they are here with us, sir, in this community all over. And most of the St. Thomas people are passive citizens. They're selfish. It's all about me.
Do you think the education system failed them? Do you think that because of their education, so a number of things, the education, the parenting, because remember their parents were educated by the same system, right? And then they're also educated by it, and then the politicians play a role in influencing them, right? And so over time, the culture, we develop a culture. Because culture is culture. You don't born with culture. You learn culture. You understand? And so over time, we're learning a culture and it becomes a part of our DNA. So what has been the culture? The culture has been beggy, scamming,
licky,
not doing well academically. Many of our children just don't do well academically. And as you pointed out, it begins from the basic school level.
Yes.
They're damaged at basic school.
Yes.
Some are damaged at primary school, and then they go to. I remember when I was going to so-called secondary school, because I failed the common entrance twice. I went to a school where you put dunce children, right? So now all of it dunce. It's
we don't use that word anymore in the system.
So you put all the way dunce picnic in one school. They call it back then. They call it new secondary school. So it wasn't a traditional high school. It was new secondary. And then guess what they do too? They also, and I hate to say this, but I think it's true. Those new secondary schools also get the lesser teachers. So teachers who are not at the top.
I believe you.
And so the best schools get the
follow
best,
the line. Get the best teachers and the best results. Yeah.
And the best resources. So now, you pack up all these dunce picnic like myself. I failed common entrance twice, and I failed technical entrance. When you pack up all the way dunce picnic now, and put us in a school together, and you give us the less teachers, and you give us the less.
We don't care a hoot. We don't care a hoot about whether they want to learn or not.
Yeah. So after graduation now, let's say only 10% of the schools or 30% of the schools are good schools, and 70% or 80 or 90 are bad school. You realize you're just graduating pure bad picnic. We can't read properly, we can't compute properly, we can't reason properly, we can't analyze properly. So how are we going to make now decisions in terms of elections?
Followers. They become followers.
So the politicians now can tell us any foolishness because we can't think properly.
Anything the leader tells you to do, you follow now, because you can't think for yourself.
Exactly. And then now, over time, as they're mashing up the country, we now have less jobs. So so we're going to turn to more and more bad things to earn an income because, companies are closing. During the 1990s, because of the FinSac foolishness, we lost about 40,000 small businesses. So less jobs are available. We were not trained properly in school, so we can't reason properly.
Right.
We know we're angry because we can't self-actualize. So we're going to fight more. We're going to be bad more. We're going, do all kind of things. And so before long, we now develop a culture of badness, a culture of corruption, a culture of failure, and that becomes endemic now and becomes a part of the DNA of the country. And that's what we're battling with right now in Jamaica.
And another thing that was one of my problems. When I came a teacher, I found out that some children are academically inclined while others are skilled inclined. Okay? Mr. Manley, they put up some camp across the parishes, where you get your electrician, the plumber, the construction worker, the skilled person. All right? Mr. Serga, him come and have no sense. Put all of these entities under one and claim it heart, human resource. But none of what was taught at the Kabbalah camp is now being taught in heart. So there's nobody there. Can you imagine that madman say he's going to bring skilled workers to work on hotel? And we have Jamaicans here that are skilled persons. Sir, what is happening with this man here?
Yeah.
And he's going to train them. Why you don't train us?
Well, I tell you what is happening. What is happening is that we have prime ministers and politicians who are driven by who has the most money to give them. They're not driven by a vision and a mission to build Jamaica. They're driven by what is the quickest route to some money. And that's why our debt level went up over the years to astronomical numbers, because we just kept borrowing and borrowing. So anybody can give us some money, can also dictate what we do. So right now,
exactly what I was saying.
China has the money, and China said, listen, if we go and come and do something in your country, we need to bring our own people. You understand?
But you can't agree to that because we have to pay back the money.
Exactly.
How can I agree to that deal?
What our leaders don't understand, what they don't understand is that most of this money will not stay here and will not grow our economy. They're just using us. We're simply a little pawn in the hub, right? A little pawn in the whole system. So we're like a pass-through system. So the Chinese come here and hear what they do. Let's say the Chinese do a project for us. They come and do a project. So they say, okay, we will build this road for you. We're going to lend you the money to build the road. Okay? We're going to bring mostly our people to come and build the road. So the money we will lend you, you're going to pay us to build the road. Watch me now. So let's say we borrow $1 billion.
Okay.
So they lend us $1 billion. We pay them back the $1 billion, or most
on their workers.
On their workers and for their consultation and for their management and everything, and materials and all that kind of stuff. So we spend the billion, most of the billion, we use it to buy back from the Chinese. Their services.
I have to pay it back.
Their material. Yeah, but hold on, here's the thing. Then now we have to pay back the loan with interest.
Exactly. Sir, don't tell me it's finance loans. That don't make sense. That don't make any sense. And if you're gonna give them land, they want the best of what you have.
Yeah. So let me say it again. No, remember now, the Chinese are not the problem, Is our dunce leaders are the problem.
Who make arrangement?
It's our leaders who not have no vision, who not have no sense, who not care about the end result for Jamaica. And all they want,
just the money.
All they want, for example, back in PJ Patterson time and again in Portia and again in Andrew, they like to say, let me build something and we can tell people I've done some work.
Build by labor, build by paid. And the fool them jump up behind them, yes.
So we get excited now and say, look, I him did build highway, I him did build new parliament building, and so on. What we don't realize is the impact of that. So we borrow the $1 billion, we spend back the $1 billion with the person who we borrowed from, or another importation, and then we have to pay back that debt with interest. So and then our people, guess who have to pay it back now? We, the people of Jamaica, have to pay it. And Andrew Holness will have to pay it back. And a Mark Golding will have to pay it back. And a PJ Patterson, and a Portia Simpson, and a Bruce Golding. You understand? We who have to pay it back, because when Andrew leaves office, or when PJ leaves office, or when Bruce leaves office, they are getting a pension equal to our Prime Minister's salary for the rest of their lives.
And that is unfair.
For the rest of their lives, they're going to get that. So they are set. No, me and you not set, because here's how we suffer now. Because we have to pay back all of this high interest and principal repayment over long periods. Our roads can't fix it, damage our car, and it cause accidents on the road and kill way off and cause we have all kind of expenses. The police can't get paid properly, so we don't have good trained police and good paid police, so our security.
Sir, nobody can get paid properly. Nobody.
Our teachers can't get paid properly, so they can't do it. When I was going to school, my teachers have to be selling suck or cheese tricks or
That
something
is
on the side.
degrading, sir. Degrading.
Yes,
I'm not doing it. I'm not doing
exactly.
it.
I have to sell something
Do you
on the
realize
side.
it's nine of them they did, or they one day or the other?
Yes, man. Yes, man. So the point I'm making is this: we are taxed double. We have they tell us to ban our belly. A long time I hear this from me a boy, 7-year-old. Me I hear a politician tell us we have to sacrifice. We have been sacrificing from I'm 7 years old
Too
until
long.
now.
Too
And
long.
before that. Okay, now watch what they're doing. We're being taxed twice over. We have the politician thief some of the money that they borrow. Okay, so they thief some, they tell us to pay. We have to pay that back. They make bad agreements, foolish agreements that put us on the hook. For example, if the people who build the roads can't make the money what they plan to make from the tolls, we, the government, have to pay it, which is more tax
Excuse
on
me?
we. Yes, man, we have to pay it. Every time, if they make a loss on the toll road, we, the taxpayers, have to pay them, even though some of we can't drive on the road because we can't afford it.
I didn't know that.
So the poor people are paying for the rich people. You understand? So if the toll roads make a loss, the government of Jamaica has to make up the difference. And remember, the government don't have any money. Government only get money from one source. We, the people. They either borrow it up front and then tax us, or they tax us right now and spend. But there's no money. Government has no money. So when you hear they talk about government money, government has no money. Government gets money by taxing the people directly or indirectly. So every time you hear about waste, every time you hear about corruption, every time our politicians make bad deals, bad arrangements, bad agreements, we the people are paying. And when you look at Jamaica today, when you look at all of Jamaica, that's what paying means. The unfinished homes, the bad roads. We know why we have unfinished homes? Because our people can't earn enough to build their homes quickly enough. So it takes years and years and years and years and years and years and years. And they can't hire good construction person. Sometimes they have to use a little man on the side here, so the wall kind of lean, the plumbing not do properly.
Or they use the man and decide to keep him to vote for him the next time election come around.
Absolutely. But I'm talking about we the people, the ordinary people. So many persons who buy the little box NHD homes, and they get a little box, right, for a whole heap of money. They borrow their own money from NHD because as you put it in and you borrow it back. And you buy the little box. And then now you go and try to build that little box into a 2-bedroom or a 3-bedroom or an upstairs. It takes your entire life. For most Jamaicans, it takes your entire life.
I might die before it finishes.
Exactly. So you never get to enjoy financial freedom.
Yeah.
And when you retire, let's say you're a teacher or one of the civil servants, if you're lucky, if you're unlucky enough to be a private sector worker, that's bad enough. But if you're a civil servant and you're lucky enough to retire, you spend a year or more trying to get your retirement money.
Yeah, that happened to me. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You have to fight. Remember, you already work, and now you have to fight with your government to get your retirement. Why shouldn't you should just retire?
Why should they start to prepare it a year before you go? So when you're retired, they just give it to you, make you go and enjoy it.
Yes. And so everything in this country is made difficult for the ordinary citizen. The only people who live a good life in this country are the connected
the politicians and the dishonest ones.
And the PSOJ elites. They live
oligarchs.
So, exactly.
The
so
Jamaica oligarchs. Yeah.
They don't have to suffer all the indignities we have to. They don't go to tax office and stand up in line forever. They just send the bearer go down there. You understand? And just send somebody to go do it. Send the little slave go do it for them. They live big. They don't have to worry about the cost.
But sir, they don't pay a light bill or water rate. Exactly. They don't pay a light bill or water rate, you know. They don't.
Exactly. And they have private security. And they have private security. So they have private security. They get to build their mansions and they get to go to the front of the line or never have to join the line. But we, the people of Jamaica, have to suffer. Look at St. Thomas a while ago, the video I showed. Look at that.
Embarrassing.
What could have been a beautiful, well-developed parish. Look at St. Thomas. Look at
From your
Moray.
come off Busterman to Bridge City Cemetery, you know what kind of leader we have in our parish. Look at that.
Exactly.
You would go. Why they never block off that with some seascape and some, at least with the well from that end, make we have something to look at rather than that ugly coffee head. The people are here. They don't care about us, sir. I think they don't have no thinking capacity. They just like sheep.
And what made me very aware of this, because I was always conscious, my mother was a PNP, strong PNP, and I could not bring myself as a young man to vote PNP or GLP. And I tell you why. I looked at the country and I looked at what was happening. So by the time I got to 17, I was a deep thinker, really deep thinker on this matter. And the reason that happened to me is not because of the school system. It's because some white people gave me a book called Tell Me Why at about age 7. They liked me. They were like maybe some expatriate, doctor, nurse, whatever that were here in the country. And they liked me as a little boy, and they bought me a book, a book it was about this size. No, it was about a big Bible, a yellow book. And it says, Tell Me Why. It was a book that encourages you to ask questions, to think from cause to effect, never to accept anything at face value, but to always reason it out. And so I read that book as a boy. Now, I must give credit to my grandmother, because my grandmother taught me to read at 3. Okay, by the time I was 3 years old, I was already a fluent reader. And the way she did this, she knows some like the comic strip. They used to have Mandrake and Conan the Barbarian and all of stuff there in the comic strip. And so I wanted to get that. She said, if you're going to get the comic strip, you must first read the headline news for me. So I had to read the headline on the front page and then read the story for her. And so because of that now, by the time I got to 3 years old, I was pretty much on top of it. So when I got that book from those people and started to read that, I started to question. And that's one of the reasons why I failed common entrance. I wasn't paying attention in school. I was paying attention to the wider society.
Interesting,
School was boring and too rigid and, all of that. And so what I found was that I started to think. So even with my mom, and I'd go around with her, and I used to go to the women's movement.
Start early.
Yes, man. I used to go to like the women's movement meeting. She used to teach at Jamal, so I went to Jamal with her, sat in the class, and I paid attention. And I said to myself when I got to 17, something is wrong with this system. It can't be that we're going to fight each other and expect to achieve. It's like what they're doing now in the UIC, where you have a faction come about and they want to fight now. And what it's doing, and they know what they're doing. It's now tearing down the organization so that people lose confidence in the UIC, lose confidence in me. And their hope is that it will now cause all the candidates and members to just wither away and get tired of it. And then we're back to square one. We just have
can't happen, not gonna happen.
And that's it. That's what they want. They want us to get back to square one, where the people of Jamaica has no option. No option. That's what they want.
The other two is behind all of this rubbish. I am in no doubt that those personal cousins probably are being paid to do it.
Yes, man.
Those two people, they block you from TVJ, they block you from all of those places where people will hear your talk. They don't want you to come to the fore because you have the answer. And I pick up that a long, long time ago. These people are horrible. And I heard the Prime Minister piggybacking on some of your story, but like you say, if it's your idea, I can't sell your idea. You have to sell it yourself. So make him go and piggyback. It's their joke.
The goal of the Prime Minister, the goal of the politicians from these two parties is not that they're going to implement the UIC ideas. They just want to take away the talking point. They want to take away the talking point. Sorry?
You are me for the rest of our life. Nothing to grow and develop for us.
Yes.
That's what they want.
Yes.
So
what the Prime Minister is doing, he wants to take away the words and the phrases that I'm using so that the people hear it from him first, because I'm not in the
turn off it. Because we know that he paid the people to do his exam at UWI. We don't believe him.
So
we don't believe
so in the end, but it's serious though, because it's a strategy, right? And strategies sometimes work, even for
He's a
evil.
strategist.
Yes, yeah, man, for
Mhm.
evil, for evil.
Mhm.
So the evil strategy, he doesn't want to do what the UIC wants to do.
Right.
He just wants to get the people to get used to hearing the words from him, so that they have no more meaning or effect to them. So when the people hear it, they say, "Oh, me hear that already. Me hear that already." I saw all of them say. So the people now will just get tuned out and can't focus long enough to understand and hear what we're saying. But we're still going to overcome, Miss Douglas, because we're not going to
Sir,
give up. Yes,
how can he get rid? He wants to get rid of the Queen. Mr. Patterson, you read it. How can he get rid of the Queen when he's on the Privy Council? Isn't that
exactly,
stupidity?
exactly,
Stupidity. I
exactly.
keep saying to
Well,
my friends, him is on the Privy Council. Good, big position. How do you get rid of the person who put him on the Privy Council? You say fool him and a fool him.
exactly. Because if
He doesn't
he listen, this prime minister is the first prime minister that was born after 1962. The first prime minister. So he was supposed to be a fresh, new face, somebody who is going to think outside of the
box.
Seaga, Bruce, Manley box. He's going to come with a new, fresh thing. But what I have seen is that he's just like everyone before him. He's the same
He
thing.
is worse. He is
Oh yeah,
worst because
even
he's the
worse. Yes,
youngest and he should have had
even
better
worse.
ideas. He's
Even
worse.
worse. Absolutely. So when he should have come with new ideas to move Jamaica out of its colonial past, he's maintaining the colonial process. Because remember, he went just the other day and accepted the QC, the Queen's Council, which means he had enough time to think about it. He has been in office now for over 7 years. He had enough time to think about it and say, no, man, I can't do this because I want to take Jamaica in a different direction. But instead, he just went ahead and gladly take it. He also went ahead and brought the colonial masters into our country to see if he can still use them to manipulate the Jamaican people. That's why he brought them the other day, He brought them to manipulate the minds of the Jamaican people to see if he can turn their minds away from wanting to go republic, right?
Crazy,
Because,
crazy. That's what we
the
understand what the
Jamaican
public means to
people,
us.
because there are still many Jamaicans who are excited about white skin. So when they see
Poor
white
thing.
people come, they become inferior by nature in their own minds. And then, oh my gosh, we should keep the monarchy. Look at these gods who have come to us. We need to worship it. Look at the behavior of Lisa Hanna. Look at the behavior of all of the
Look how
MPs.
many shots.
They
Look
were
how
all
many
like
friendly shots he
worshiping.
have with that woman. Why the worst one? Them say she's not bar.
They were
It's not true.
worshiping these politicians. They are worshiping the colonial masters. They are worshiping the colonial masters. And we need leaders who believe that Jamaica can stand for itself and does not need to be controlled by any foreign powers whatsoever, white or any other color. Yes.
I saw a documentary twice, and I realized that the black race have the highest DNA series in all human race. They are the ones that 90% of the world, they are there. And all the other countries have 6. How on earth I'm going to allow 6 to manage 9? Come on, Mr. Patterson.
Yeah.
We are smarter than all of them. It's the opportunity we never get. That is why we are where we are. We need to get up and do it for ourselves and stop being foolish. Buy bleach and bleach out the lovely thing that we have our skin, but we want to be white because you're stupid, you don't know better. And they want to be dark like us. Stupid sort of people.
Absolutely, absolutely. No, man. I mean, we need to pass this stage now. And
Yes, sir.
you are 68 years old. You said, right?
Yes, I am.
Indeed. So you
And
and
you know what,
Jamaica.
sir? You know what are the biggest injustice ever done to the education system? Is take civics out of the education system. Take out history, take out geography. Those are subjects that make us be what we are today. Civics, loving yourself and your neighbor and respect and all of those things. If no more, you just grow up and be a big plant as you please. And your teeth and your granny come up here, your mama come up here, and the whole home situation go apart and police up here walk on the tree and look for it on the night time. Who dare you allow a policeman to come look for you with that gun? You're a person, you need to live a life like a person.
Mhm.
Jeez.
If
Sir, I don't know.
if our leaders if our leaders really cared, and I know they don't care about the Jamaican people.
No.
There's no way we would have an education system that doesn't actually educate us to be independent thinkers. That doesn't
Sure, we're
educate
going
us.
back into the 70s, you know, you realize that?
That doesn't educate us.
Education system is going back into the 70s.
Yeah. They have not educated us to understand the system of governance. They have not educated us to be able to be good, productive citizens. They have not
Independent.
Look what happened. We're now in the 21st century.
Yes.
And the students who are graduating are no match at all for the other students in the rest of the world. You saw the Singapore video, right? That their students, Singapore, their students are the top of the world in math and science. Their students. Now remember, Singapore got independence in 1965. 3 years after us. 3 years after us.
And look where they are today.
And they had far more problems than us in 1965 and far less resources than us. But yet still today, their people are the brightest in the world.
And I get to understand they came down here and study our Jamaican educational system and go run with it. What do we do with it?
No, remember what they did, what Lee Kuan Yew did, and many Jamaicans have been told this. I've been told that that Lee Kuan Yew came to Jamaica and studied our system and copied it. I must correct the world. It's not true. What Lee Kuan Yew did, what he did is what I did. Lee Kuan Yew came to Jamaica and studied Jamaica to see what we're doing, and him see what we're doing right and what we're doing wrong. And if you read his book that was called From Third World to First World, he had very damning things to say about Jamaica. He says, my gosh, these people are crazy. What they're doing with themselves. Now, so Lee Kuan Yew went around the world and he looked at different systems and countries and picked out what him say good.
That's what you did.
Exactly. So when I travel to China, I don't go there as a tourist and just, yes, I do some tourist stuff too, but I don't just go and put my foot up and enjoy it. I go and pay attention. I go look around. For example, what I liked in China, this is something I like in China. I can say this without reservation. When I was in Beijing and I drove around and walk around the city, they have volunteer police officers. These are ordinary citizens who have very basic training, and their job was just to give you guidance in the community. So if you're traveling to an area, they can tell you which way to go, what not to do, what is allowable, whatever. And they're volunteers. And so they come out and they're in little booths, nice booths, and you can go up to them and get information. Outside of them now, when you go down a little further, you have 2 police officers stationed down there, and 2 police officers stationed down there. You go a little further, you see a camera system on the corner of the street looking in all directions. So if you have an accident, they can tell who was at fault immediately. If you have a mugging, they can tell, capture pictures of the mugging or whatever. So Beijing is like super safe because of the way that they structure.
It is structured.
Then one of the things I like about China, this really blew my mind. You see where they have like the bridges. You have a bridge and you have an underpass, a little bit of dirty area, right? So you might have a train traveling over it or traffic. In all of those little areas, they have small farms. A small farm. So in some, like in Jamaica here, you'll pass a road when it just bush up, fully of bushland.
So much land.
They did. Remember that this is the roadside, what China did in a city like Beijing. This is the roadside. The people them have little farms along the roadside, and so you'll see they call them community farms. And so you'll see from the community come over, and they're paying attention, weeding or harvesting or whatever. And so where we have bush, where we leave bush for grow up, them put a little farm there. It might be a little vegetable area, or they put a set of fruit trees. But all across the country, everything is ornamental. They cut the trees properly. They cut the grass properly. They put in little farms here and there, and it just makes the place look so much richer and wealthier. That's what I'd love to see here in Jamaica. We have so much waste land, So much wasteland all over the place. So I saw that in China. I went to Myanmar, studied what they had in Myanmar. I went to Ghana, studied what they have in Ghana, mixed with the people, talk with the people, because now you don't want to get just the surface level. You want to get to the bottom level, hear what's going on. So when I went to Ghana, I stayed at a posh hotel for maybe a week, and then I stayed in a city community for about 3 to 4 weeks, and then I spent another week in a what do you call a tribal community
Okay.
the mud hut kind of thing, whatever. And so I experienced the different aspects of the country, the culture, and get to see what's really happening behind the scenes. How is the economy really working? What are the policies that they're using? And so every country I go to, I study. I go to the Netherlands, look at their farming system. How do they farm the way they do to be the second largest exporter of food in the world? So I studied their system. I studied their government. I studied their schooling. I look at their parks and markets and their commercial spaces. How do they organize themselves? I go to Germany, the same thing. In the countryside, in the town. I go to Berlin. I go to Norwich House. I go to this other place here where they have the castles and stuff. But I pay attention to all the pieces. I go to France. I look at how their system is structured. And then now, when I come to look at Jamaica now, I can bring all of that knowledge to bear.
Wow, great, great.
What doesn't work, and we can make Jamaica now another Singapore and better than Singapore.
Exactly,
You understand?
exactly,
That's where we're heading.
exactly.
Yeah. So we're running out of time. So let me take some questions from the folks online. Thank you all for being with us. You're listening to Shirley Douglas, who is a UIC supporter. She is working hard in her community in St. Thomas. She's working to build her 12. She is working to get her community center up and running, and we're going to try to help her with that. And she's just wanting to share her thoughts with us, and we're happy to listen. So let's see what we have on the sidebar here. I'm seeing Craig McKenzie. In Israel, you will see these same farms all over the land. Very good, Craig. And we need to see that in Jamaica now. Lorna Adams says Willie Lynch syndrome is the rule in some of Jamaican mindset. Absolutely. And Bilda says Andrew went to China to copy their authoritarian ID system, while Patterson looked at their way of life, policing, etc. And Craig says, big up Shirley. So you have a fan out
Thanks.
there, Shirley. Joyce Smith says, what is the next step of this movement? All I'm hearing tonight is pure criticism. What's your action plan? Joyce Smith, maybe you missed those other videos where we talk about the action plan. And even in this one, the action plan is to copy the good things from the rest of the world and build on them. And I show you some earlier. Jamaican Gamar says, Mr. Patterson, when is election time? Will you be able to debate with the other parties? Yes, I am able. The question is, will the Jamaica Debates Commission be democratic enough and allow the UIC to be a part of those debates? When the recent elections, or the last set of elections were near, the the Jamaica Debating Commission had left out the UIC. We had to write to them, and they still haven't committed yet to, including us. But we'll try. What is your take on Mr. Webby's GoFundMe for the elderly? Cool guy, my take is that it's a travesty that our government is asking for donations for the elderly as opposed to having a program well built and designed to care for the elderly in our society. It's a travesty. The UIC has a plan. We're dedicating the 10% GCT to eliminate poverty in Jamaica, and that will make sure that we can take care of our elderly, our children who are, either not being properly parented or their parents don't have the income to support them. Sonia Mignet says, hi, Shirley. Nice to see a face to go with the name.
Hello.
So
Hello.
big up with Sonia, one of our strongest supporters and members. Let's see if we can get any more comments or question here. Ming Hutchinson says, hold firm, Mr. Patterson. Power to the people. Liddy says, those people are people who don't know themselves or worth. Sonia says, hello, Uniters. Patricia said, my friend worked in the postal service for 20 years. And when she retired, it took 2 years and a million phone calls and visits before she got
Wow.
money, which does
Ooh.
not add up. And by the way, when she get that retirement money, the value of it is nothing. So if she saved $1,000 20 years ago, that $1,000 is worth less than $100 today, which is sad. And that's bad governance. That's bad governance. I talked about that before, but if you have a good governance, the value of our money will retain its value over time. That's how you protect people's retirement. You cannot have a person working for 40 years, 35 years, 20 years, and then when they retire, the money they're getting doesn't worth anything
Yeah,
much.
that's true. That's true.
Obviously. Yep. So, all right. The last comment. Richard Brown says, GoFundMe. Oh my God, that is such a a slap in the face. The primary function of any government is to care for the elderly and
Exactly.
the children. Sonia says, Mr. Patterson, I am free tomorrow. Laugh out loud, soon come. Yeah, man, we can jump on tomorrow, Sonia. I'd love to have you on. It's a while now, so let's do that. So thanks again, Miss Douglas. A pleasure
Yes,
talking
sir.
to you. Have a good
Same here,
night.
sir.
Talk to you again soon.
We will keep in touch.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, sir? Thank
All
you
right.
very
Good.
much for having me.
Yeah,
Bye,
man. My pleasure.
everyone.
Good. Have your last say. Have your last word. What you want to say before you go? Anything you want to say before you go?
I would love for the Jamaican persons, all of us, I'm going to read it over, to read the Constitution because I didn't give no parish council had a Constitution, so to speak. I read through it yesterday. We need to get out of the box. I'll give JLP and PNP a break and let us see what UCI can do. Because the vision that UCI has, if we give the support, UIC, I think we will have a better life. Maybe not for us, but for our children and our grandchildren. It's going to take a while. And don't expect it to happen tomorrow. It's going to take a while, but you need commitment, understanding, and whenever time we have issues, we try and iron it out the best way we know how, because issues will always be with us. But the focus is to have a better Jamaica for all Jamaicans.
Absolutely. Wonderful, Mrs. Douglas. Lovely to hear from you. Have a good night, and we talk again soon.
You too, sir. Yes, we'll talk again. Bye-bye.
Good. Bye-bye. All right, my friends, thank you so much for being here with us tonight. It was a pleasure talking with you. I hope you learned a lot about Singapore and see the difference between Singapore and Jamaica and how we as Jamaicans can pull together, come together, and make the change that we need. Don't follow the noise, follow the knowledge. The UIC is here to educate and empower you to make a solid decision for the future of our country. The UIC is you. It's your party, it's the People's Party, it is the education party. Let us educate ourselves, let us empower ourselves, let us not allow ourselves to be fooled once again. 78 years is enough. 78 years is enough. It's time for us to say goodbye to the bad system of governance. It's time for us to say goodbye to the JLP and PNP. It's time for us to say it's Jamaica time now. Thank you. Have a good night and talk to you soon. All the best.